thanks for tuning in. This is going to be the third installation of the climate change series, where I just take questions or articles that are often cited by climate change skeptics, and I try to break it down and talk about the evidence as well as the reasoning, and kind of on both sides of that debate. And today's question is a very, very good one. It's, why is ice in Antarctica actually increasing year over year? And this is the result of a study that came out from NASA very recently. I think it was last year they published this. Said that in, I believe it's eastern Antarctica and the interior of West Antarctica, they're actually noticing a net increase in overall ice cover. So why? Let's look into it. So the study, which was published by NASA, looked at changes in the surface height of the Antarctic ice sheet measured by radar altimeters, but essentially that just looks at the amount of growing or shrinking and changes kind of year over year. And what they found is that specifically in East Antarctica and the interior of West Antarctica, there was enough of a growth to potentially offset the losses in ice that are kind of consistent throughout the rest of the continent. So why? It's a good question. So after reading this, one might conclude that the ice caps overall are not melting. Unfortunately, that is not the case. To understand this, there's 3 points I'm going to quickly go through. First of all, there's a difference in the ice caps in the north and in the southern hemisphere. The Arctic is melting at a very, very fast rate, and that's because it is a much, much hotter climate in the Arctic than in Antarctica. I think right now the Arctic temperatures in the summer are between 3 and 12 degrees, so it's above the melting point. In Antarctica, the hottest it gets in the year is between -10 and -60. So of course, the North Pole is going to be more susceptible to changes in the climate and in water. Second, climate change is increasing precipitation. What happens when you have a warmer atmosphere? You have more humidity in the atmosphere. That humidity turns into precipitation, and because Antarctica is colder, and because it's at a much higher elevation, I think the average elevation in Antarctica is 7,500 feet, highest continent on the planet, it is a much, much colder climate that causes a lot more snowfall. So combined, these two are increasing the amount of snow and then ultimate ice cover in Antarctica, which is not happening in the North Pole. And last, there is an increase of fresh water that is flowing into the Southern Ocean. This is actually happening because of the other glaciers in Antarctica that are continuing to break off. As they break off, they release fresh water into the Southern Ocean. Fresh water, if you remember from high school, freezes much faster than salt water. And so those are the reasons that kind of account for the increase in overall ice cover in Antarctica right now. That being said, it's not a cause for celebration. Before you go and purchase that seafront property, remember that ice caps overall are still experiencing a massive net loss. Right now, I think the Arctic loss is about 20,800 square miles per year, which has been measured from 1977 to 2017, which far outpaces any of the gains in Antarctica. So those are my points. And if you have a concept or an issue or something you want me to break down in another video, I would be happy to do it. Of course, there is much more science behind this, but I wanted to keep it short. Aside from that, click like, subscribe, or DM me if you have any comments or questions. Or you can comment too. Thanks. Bye.